Give me your gun.
What's going on over there?
Put the gun down.
I saw you with the box. What was in the box?
Because I envy your normal life.
Put the gun down, David.
It seems that envy is my sin.
Oh, what's in the box?
Not till you give me the
What's
gun.
in the fucking box?
Give me the gun.
He just told you.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. I don't know, maybe a month ago, Doc and I did the 7 Deadly Sins of Marvel Comics. I promised I would do a 7 Deadly Sins of DC with my good friend Josh McDonald from BatmanNews.com, PopMyCulture.com as well. But Josh was under the weather there for like 2 weeks. You were out of commission. So we're finally back together. We're going to do the 7 Deadly Sins of DC. How you feeling, Josh?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm glad to be back. Talking about comics, talking about sins and deadly things. Let's do it.
Yeah, but you got to go back to your real job and like catch up on all the stuff you didn't do, right?
Oh, dude, I've already started that. I started that this week. So Monday, Tuesday, it was fun days of catching up.
Yeah, that sucks. So let's talk about something fun. Take your mind off of that.
Hell
maybe
yeah.
this isn't fun.
Well, sure. Look, I never complain about getting to bitch about something. So this will be fun.
This isn't bitching. This is high level criticism here, folks. This is not bitching about the 7 Deadly Sins of DC Comics. First up, we'll go in the same order we did with Marvel. First up is Pride. You know, there's a lot of ways you could go with this with Josh. I decided the Vertigo 25th anniversary relaunch. They decided Vertigo, hey, it's got the name. We can just put whoever we want on these books. It doesn't matter if they're good. We'll put Zoe Quinn on there. We'll put, who else we got? Rob
Eric
Sheridan
Esquivel.
from 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Eric Esquivel.
Cy Spurrier, like not your top talent at all.
Well, and it pretty much blew up in their faces. Obviously, Eric Esquivel with the allegations there. Zoe Quinn has been a dumpster fire for quite some time. We even had, who was it? Robbie Rodriguez.
Yes.
One of the artists there was sending
I forgot about that. Yes.
Unsolicited naked anal pictures to other DC employees at the time.
Oh man. That's right.
But I guess Mark Doyle, who's moved on to IDW with who was Andy Coury, were the people behind this one. They just thought, well, it's Vertigo. We put the name on it. We say it's 25th anniversary. It can't help but be successful. They basically destroyed Vertigo. It doesn't exist anymore, Josh.
No, it's completely defunct now. And what you mentioned is exactly why we put this as Pride, is they came back and they kind of had this arrogant take of, well, this is Vertigo. It doesn't matter what we do. People are going to buy this because it is Vertigo, because it is the Sandman, because it is the Dreaming. Like they just put all of this into like, it doesn't matter who we have on this book or what we do, people are going to buy it. And they didn't, because most of it was terrible.
Yeah, it ended up kind of tarnishing the reputation of the Gaiman line that they were relaunched at the same time.
Yep.
Because it was like touching it. Had the same name.
It was under the same umbrella, Yeah. And then I think the one book that people actually responded well to was Constantine or Hellblazer, but that is the only positive feedback I heard from any of the books that came from that line.
Well, I think some people like that Brian Hill book, and he was, in my opinion, outside of the Neil Gaiman stuff, which he wasn't even writing, but the new Vertigo titles, that he was the only real good writer they had. Obviously, Cy Spurrier's done some cool stuff, but that thing did not go well, and Pride did not serve DC Comics in their relaunch of Vertigo, which is now defunct.
Now defunct. Wait, look, when you do something so bad that it shutters completely, that tells you everything you need to know.
Absolutely. Now let's move on to Greed. There's a lot of ways we could go with this one. Obviously, we could go with the $6 Joker comics that are out right now, the cardstock covers that are always $1 extra. I'm going Detective Comics 1027. They already got the Detective Comics 1000, where they got to charge $10 and they have 15 different covers and make a crap load of money. And they're like, well, technically Batman didn't show up in Detective Comics until issue 27. So that'll be his 1000th appearance in the comic, which isn't true, Josh. They were Detective Comics after that didn't include a Batman appearance.
Yep.
And they decided that Detective Comics 1027 deserved the same treatment. Just typical greed. And typical it just greed. Wears out the idea of what makes that kind of moment or that kind of milestone special.
Oh, 100%. And I think one of the things that really comes into play here is I read Detective Comics 1000, and I thought it was a solid book where you could tell
This is me.
Yeah, I mean, it was better than Detective 1027. I mean,
Yes, it was.
But you could tell they came in and tried to put effort into it, and they tried to get some top tier talent. And then when you roll around to 1027, same thing that they kind of did with Vertigo. They're like, people are gonna buy it. Let's just do something. And they had just crappy stories. It was not good at all.
Complete cash grab.
Oh, 100%. They saw the success that they had with Action 1000, which I thought was excellent. And then again with Detective 1000, and they were just trying to strike that well again. And that was the only reason they did it.
I was not a very big fan. And I don't know. I wished, if you're going to do something like that and you're going to honor the character of Batman, you need to go out there and bring in the creators that are still around, that know the character inside and out, and have been most instrumental in creating and elevating the character. And you're right, when they got to Detective Comics 1027, it was just like, well, who's going to be writing for DC in 6 months? Let's throw in a couple of headliners and a bunch of no names underneath and see if we can get them a little shine.
It literally turned into how cheap can we make this and how much money can we make from it?
Oh, I bet you they made a lot of money, but it was absolutely
a shit ton of money.
I hate cash grabs like this. I hated Marvel Comics 1000. Yeah, I definitely was not a fan of Detective Comics 1027.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, time to get into Lust. There's a lot of ways we could have gone with this one. The obvious one is like a Joker Harley punchline kind of thing, but I'm going Nightwing and Tarantula. It's not often.
Wow, wow, rape on a roof, baby.
It's not often that you get a frontline hero being raped on the rooftop. Obviously, we've seen it in the animated universe when they did the Killing Joke, right? Yeah, they added Batgirl.
Yep. And, I mean, that wasn't necessarily a rape. It was just a questionable. It was like a daughter-father type thing. It was definitely questionable. I'm with you 100% on Nightwing and Tarantula because it was rape. And the point of it was, I mean, like, he couldn't do anything, and she's like, "Yo, I'm gonna sex you up right now." The point of it, like, it was one of those things that I'm like, why is this here? Like, what is the point? And there didn't seem to be one. And I don't know what Devin Grayson was doing when she approached that or wrote that, but
she was empowering women, Josh, with rape.
Sure. Ladies, if you're empowered and you want to go rape somebody, I guess go do it. I'll pass. I guess I don't really have a say, but
it's weird, especially with a character like Nightwing. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's like I wouldn't say he's completely wholesome, but he's pretty wholesome for a Gotham-based character.
Yeah. I would say he's definitely one of the more wholesome street level characters. Like, he's got his head on straight. In my opinion, he is the definition of what a hero is and a hero should be. So to see that happen, it was just, again, it was strange. It was unsettling. And I get part of it was that it was supposed to be unsettling, but it just didn't seem to serve a purpose. So that made me feel like it was just there for shock value. I was not a fan of it. And I know you mentioned the Joker Harley thing as potentially being a contender. And I agree. I would say it's probably the most famous Lust situation, especially with the whole Stockholm Syndrome aspect. But I feel like it's not good in what happened, but good storytelling. Like, it was a good story and it led to many good things. This did not at all.
No, whenever there's every year, what do they release to the 10 dumbest things DC Comics ever did? Nightwing raped by Tarantula, always on the list.
Mm-hmm.
No matter who writes it.
No, because it's awful.
Absolutely. So let's move on to Envy. And we're going to go with DC being envious of Marvel Comics and bringing Bendis aboard. Not only bringing Bendis aboard as an exclusive creator with a very, very substantial page rate, a very nice contract, but allowing Bendis the leeway to bring in a bunch of people with him.
Yep.
And it basically just blew up in DC's face. He destroyed the sales on Superman. He destroyed whatever could have been with Wonder Comics. That thing just went away quick. The whole, was it Event Leviathan? You had a Batman and Superman led event book, and the sales were under 50,000 after an issue or two.
Yeah.
I can't imagine DC Comics and Dan Didio specifically eyeballing Marvel and saying, I want some of that success over here. Basically completely misjudging what was going on at Marvel and who was successful, bringing Bendis over. And you said, Marvel, whew, thank goodness that's not our problem anymore.
Yeah. The interesting thing about this is like, you can tell that DC thought this was like this great coup and strategic win. And even when they announced like Bendis is coming, I remember thinking like, man, y'all are like 10 to 15 years too late. Like you've missed his prime. He's out of his prime. People aren't jiving with what he's doing. And then it was obvious they were going to give him just so much power and so much free reign, which they did. So him alone, he comes on. They knocked Tomasi and Gleason off Superman, which was probably one of the best books they had at the time. It was an incredible run that they had going. They developed Wonder Comics, which seemed to have a lot of potential and then completely fizzled out. And I think one of the only books I actually enjoyed was actually Naomi. And then you had his gang come in, which, they were kind of trying to tout as top tier writers who, again, hadn't done anything great for some time. So if you give all these people this power, you let them have free reign, you knock off people who are currently working on books and doing good jobs, you kind of throw them to the side, and then you move past it and you're stuck with top talent that you did have that doesn't want to work with you because you treated them like crap. This new quote unquote top talent that you brought in that just completely trashed their lines. And now we're stuck with what we have, which is not great right now.
Like the great reset at DC Comics.
Oh, man.
I mean, just think about what Kelly Sue DeConnick alone did to Aquaman. Like, I think she knocked off 25% of sales on her debut issue, and it just continued to tank until she finally left the series. There is no Aquaman right now since she's done with it.
No. I read a little bit at the start of her run, and it wasn't terrible.
Dan Abnett's Aquaman before that was great.
Excellent. Yes. and that's the thing. Like you went from having so many runs that were the best they had been in decades. And then you went to just mediocre to good, and in some instances, like absolute trash. Young Justice, what should have been a huge thing coming back. Oh, that book sucked so bad.
That was rough. And then you had Wonder Twins with, I don't even want to get into it. I think, was that Mark Russell?
Yeah, and that's the one where they had like the thunder orgasms or whatever.
Yes.
It was so, and it's supposed to be for kids. Oh, I don't know.
Matt Fraction on Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna lie. That book to me was so absurd that I actually enjoyed it. But it's not anything that I'm gonna be like, yo, like this was a good decision because of this book. Like it
That's
wasn't
nothing to
good.
be proud of, Josh.
No, it's really not. I'm just saying I enjoyed it. It's not like at the top of my list, but I had fun. And then we can't talk about this without talking about the like most egregious thing that Bendis did, and it's aging up John Kent and just completely destroying Superman and the Superman family. Like that alone is going to go down as one of DC's biggest missteps ever, because it was so bad.
It's like a one more day moment.
Yes, it will be, for sure. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're still going to be looking back, talking about this moment if they don't retcon it before then.
Absolutely. That was terrible. Let's move into Gluttony. This one's easy, and you're the Batman guy. There's no way you can deny this. And it's right here, right now. Over 50% of all the DC comics being released are led by Batman, have him starring in a team book, or are fronted by a Batman-related character, whether it be Rob or one of the former Robins or Joker himself, Harley Quinn, stuff like that. That is ridiculous. It's not like they're releasing 20 comics, Josh. It's like 70 a month, 35 or more Batman. Yep.
They either half or more either feature Batman or are about Batman, and it's way too much. It's too bloated. Like DC knows that Batman sells. So they're throwing him in they're like Oprah giving away cars. Like they're just telling the writers, like, you get Batman and you get Batman. Like it's insane. And what they're not realizing is like they're oversaturating the market. People are gonna stop caring. Batman's not gonna carry the sales and weight that he used to. He's just gonna dwindle out. But also from a narrative standpoint, it's like, where do you go? Like
so confusing.
Yeah.
You had like 3 anthologies.
Oh yeah.
Are these in continuity with the Omniverse, Linearverse? They should be, I guess. Like, where do these things happen? Nothing's lining up anymore.
Nothing lines up, and that's a bigger issue that they've got that they need to figure out. But like with Batman in particular, people only have so much money to spend a month, and when you're giving them 30 plus Batman options alone, they don't know where to spend that money. And then there's a good chance, which we're actually seeing this, that they're going to try to opt to spend that money on Batman titles and forego other characters. And then you're going to diminish the power that your brand has because you're trying to put it solely on one character. And I love Batman. I want to see Batman succeed. This is not a path of succession. This is going to destroy the brand. It's going to destroy the supporting characters. And I worry that we're going to get back to how we were in like the 60s, 70s, where Batman's going to become a thing that might get canceled. Which sounds crazy because if you go back 10 years ago, you're like, we're going to have 50 to 60 years of Batman being top dog. And I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Well, he's certainly still top dog right now. And there's nobody else that can carry 30 comic books simultaneously, Josh.
Well, yes. But my point is 5 years from now.
Oh, I got you.
At this rate, how much is, yeah. Like at some point you even run out of stories, at least when you have less titles, you can let 10 years, 15 years worth of the world changing, let you come in and approach the character differently. When you're running through stories as fast as they're having to run through them, you're going to run out of ideas.
And there's always so many good writers out there and so many good writers with a pitch for Batman or a vision for Batman that fit with what you're doing right now. Yeah. So you get this hodgepodge of these different versions of the characters. Nothing feels correct. Everything feels disjointed. We're reading Fear State, and you read Tynan's Batman, and you read Tamaki's Detective Comics. It's the same event, but it don't feel the same.
Oh, they feel completely different. Completely different. And they're supposed to be like one and the same, like same universe, same timeline, but they feel completely different.
Yeah. We've talked about that enough. Let's move on to Wrath. This one was easy for me. Well, actually, it wasn't easy. I was thinking it's Tom King's, path of assassination, just killing characters left and right. But I decided to go something a little bit bigger. Dan Didio's just hate boner for legacy characters and just destroying them. Obviously, we had Rick Grayson, Dick Grayson get shot in the head, become Rick Grayson. Yep. We had Wally West become a serial killer. Who else? We had, oh my goodness. Donna Troy become infected. We had
Roy Harper.
He became a drunk. Roy Harper's dead. He was killed by Wally.
And some of this even started all the way back as the New 52. Like, you started with the New 52, and there wasn't even a Wally West there. But Dan Didio has always famously been opposed to legacy characters. And he's been vocal about it. He's been outspoken about it. You've gone to cons and he's openly discussed his dislike for legacy characters. You have the image of the quote unquote famous board of things he wants to do. And, just striking off legacy characters was one of the
Superman family or Superman marriage. Like weird stuff.
I understand wanting gritty and dark stories, and especially at the time that he took over, because that's when the Nolan Batman films were coming out, and things were kind of leaning in that direction, and they were doing well. So I understand wanting to lean into that because it's doing well, but it was almost like he wanted no happiness at all. And part of the point of these legacy characters is to be better versions of the heroes that preceded them, to learn from their mistakes so they can be better. And it's like he just completely opposed that theme and concept, and you just had this miserable world that he was creating. It's rough, and it's spitting in the face of fans who have been reading comics for decades, who have grown up with these characters, who were invested in these characters wanted to see them, and then to see them getting either completely taken away or completely trashed. It was a poor move from a business standpoint.
Yeah, because Dick Grayson's a marketable character. He's not Batman, but he's a guy that's a character that could lead his own series. And that Rick Grayson storyline that lasted for over 2 years, how many people did you chase off that aren't going to come back?
So many. I think some people came back the moment they saw Nightwing come back, but there's no denying it was brand damaging. And, you know, in the 80s, the New Teen Titans was their top selling book. So the fact that you're going to take something that does have a fan base and does have a momentum that those characters had and just completely ruin it, it's rough.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the last one. This is Sloth. We're going back to Batman, but you've noticed this. Gotham has been taken over 3 times in the past 2 years. First time it was Bane, then it was Joker, now it's the Magistrate. We were essentially getting the same story over and over and over and over again. Yep.
Same thing, same concept. I've complained about this in my reviews so many times, but and this even goes back to Scott Snyder's Batman. For about 10 years now, it feels like the only story that writers can think of that have quote unquote stakes is if Gotham is either being taken over or destroyed. And that's every story we've gotten. And it's on this huge epic scale, and it's so over the top. And at this point, it's just lazy writing. And I think it's the fact that it's been so repetitious that's why we're picking it as Sloth, is because that's all it is. Like, we've got a new Batman event. I wonder what's going to happen. Is Gotham going to get taken over? Yep.
It's crazy. You think about like Nightfall.
Mm-hmm.
Batman almost kills himself making sure Gotham doesn't get taken over. Every villain's on the street, and they still don't win.
Oh yeah,
now, he gets his back broken. He gets put on the sideline, but he's pretty damn competent up until that moment.
Yeah, but even
he can't stop anything.
Yeah, even then, it's like you have this surge of villains that are there, and Batman's practically killing himself to stop them. But even then, you don't have the entirety of the city completely taken over as if they're slaves and no one can do anything. And that's what we've gone to, that extreme, multiple stories in a row. And that's what I hate.
And the idea that, we got the city of Bane get taken over by Bane, city of Joker get taken over by Joker. And now the Gothamites are just letting themselves be taken over by Nakano and the Magistrate.
Yep.
Like, yeah, we need someone to take over the city and lock us down and keep us in our house and keep us safe. It's like, are you crazy? They literally just went through this. We
literally just went through this. And it even happened, if you look back at Snyder's run, even Zero Year was pretty much the entire city got taken over by Riddler. And everyone was, the citizens and everything were at the whims of Riddler. It's just, if it happens once every 10 years, fine. But we've gotten it like 5 or 6 times within 10 years. And I'm just,
how about somebody try and take over Gotham? And that's the event.
Yeah.
Maybe not succeed.
Because even with City of Bane and then followed up exactly with Joker War, both stories were presented. And then the moment they started, they skipped the whole attempt of trying to take the city, which one would argue is actually the interesting part. And they were just like, they completely have control. So you skip like 3/4 of your actual story there and just kind of run with this idea, but don't actually do anything with it. And I think that's part of what makes this a sin too, is they go so big and then afterwards don't do anything with it and then repeat it. And again, don't do anything with it.
And it makes Batman look like a complete moron.
It makes him look like a chump.
How many times can your city be taken over, buddy? Get out of here. Get some real heroes. Where's Gotham Girl when you need her?
Yeah, I mean, it makes him look like a chump. It makes the Bat family look like a chump. It makes the GCPD, who, look completely incapable. And then you always have to wonder, like, well, why didn't the Justice League step in? And sometimes writers will write something in there as to why, but it's never a valid reason, ever.
Yeah, it's like we negotiated with them, and we won't destroy other cities if they leave us alone. And Justice League was like, well, there's nothing we can do then.
Yeah, Batman, or it's like Batman said not to get involved. I'm like, the entire freaking city's taken over. Get involved.
Yeah. Well, not to mention Gotham Girl is stronger than Superman. She's supposed to be there.
Bullshit. What am I talking about? I know it's written that way. That's Tom King having a little wank of his own, self-amusement.
That's the way to put it. Yeah, so those are the 7 deadly sins of DC Comics. Obviously, we could go in a lot of different directions with each one of those categories, but I thought this was fun. And what do you think, Josh? Did we nail these for the most part?
I think we did pretty good. I mean, we focused on a lot of recent stuff, but I think we have to. Yeah, I think you have to look at what's been going on in comics to understand why. I think if we get any comments, it might be because of like Parallax. But other than that, I think this is pretty spot on. I think what we mentioned are a lot of things that are either already brand damaging or will continue to be brand damaging for the next 15 to 20 years. And I think that's why we landed where we did. I
do want to say thank you very much to Josh for coming back. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Hell yeah.
We'll talk to you not this Saturday because you're going to be busy. So it'll be next time on
that damn day job, man. I swear, paying bills. It's for the birds.
Ruining our flow here.
I know. Sheesh.